Afua, Adom and Matthew Wright with their views and things. Afua, could I talk to you first of all about this biography that's out, Finding Freedom, about Meghan and Harry. What are you making of what you're hearing?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. There's so many revelations, isn't there? But I think it's a lot of maybe what we thought was going on behind the scenes anyway, how unhappy Meghan and Harry were with every aspect of royal life. You know, there has been rumours about a rift between Harry and William for some months now, and that was confirmed in the book, more or less, or in the extracts that have come from the book already. It does seem difficult for them to be able to perhaps find a way back after this to have the dual royal roles. But to be honest, I don't think that's what they wanted. I do think that this is, you know, the break that they wanted to have. I think the book confirms this, even though we know that the authors have said that they haven't actually spoken to Meghan and Harry. They spoke to over, I think, about 100 sources around them, and doubles all the stories with at least one or two people, and they haven't spoken to them. But I do think, you know, that this is what was going on behind closed doors, and perhaps we suspected it anyway.
So the effect... The effect of all of this, is this what they would have intended, Matthew?
Well, if they were looking at personal popularity ratings to see whether or not their gripes and complaints are chiming with people, 6 years ago, Harry was loved by 75% of the country, and today it's down to about 35%. There are revelations in there. Many of the revelations seem to be confirmations of stories that we were previously told they were unhappy about. The rift with William, for example. Other bombshell revelations: if you turn up unannounced to meet the Queen, sometimes she may be too busy to see you. Suck that up, people. I find it extraordinary the sort of paradoxes in the book. They want to help the homeless, but they want to live in a massive house. They want to be royal, but they don't want to be royal. They want to have a fairy tale royal wedding. Well, you know, Harry's mother, you know, it shows that is an unachievable objective. They want to be part of a modern royal family, but the royal family is anachronistic.
I mean, they're denying, as Afua said, they're saying that they haven't spoken to the journalists, Omid Scobie and Catherine Durand, who have written this biography, but there seems to be a lot of very personal information in there. So there are some saying, well, they might not have spoken to them, but did they give their close friends permission to speak to the journalists on their behalf? They
put out a statement, didn't they, just the other day, saying they hadn't cooperated with the two authors.
They're not suing them either,
They're not suing them. They're not denying any of the extracts that we've seen in the press so far. It is not beyond the realms of possibility that, for example, if you were Omid Scobie and I was Harry, I could tell some of my friends about intimate details of my relationship, perhaps my problems, and with my blessing, pass that on indirectly. I would imagine that's what's been going on.
Afua, this story, I'm looking at the front page of the Daily Telegraph here, lose £5 and save the NHS 100 million. The usual thing, I mean, I suppose that's trying to milk the goodwill everybody has for the NHS, a new direction on what they call a war on obesity. But it's never a war on obesity, is it? It never really... If it relies on all of us to do something, it's not done, is it?
Well, no, it's never really been a war on obesity, like you said, because every single year it seems like the government come up with a plan via the NHS or not via the NHS, saying that we have to eat better, lose weight. There seems to be a sort of obesity plan every single year that doesn't seem to do the job it's supposed to, because next year we have the same plan. I think that they think because in this post-COVID-19 sort of few months that we're in, where we know that if you are obese, you're more at risk from COVID-19 and unfortunately more at risk from dying. I think that they think those statistics will make people think, yes, okay, actually this is the time where I need to lose some weight. We all know that over lockdown, you know, some people got really fit, some people put on some weight as well.
Yeah, but it's not. But my point I'm making, it shouldn't really be up to leaving it to us, really, because we know that doesn't work. What I'm saying is, if they were really serious about this, they would be as tough on the sugar industry as they are on the smoking industry, would they not?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what they should do. You know, they had the sugar tax that came in on soft drinks that made them more expensive. If they really, really want to change things, then yes, that is where to attack the sugar industry, as it were. That's where you can make the difference. You can keep telling us to do it, and you can keep telling the general public they have to eat less sugar, eat healthy, and all the rest of it. But unless you're getting to the heart of industry, it's not really going to work. That's why year on year we're having the same plan. It's ineffective.
our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, when he was, before the general election, was against the nanny state and was against the sugar tax. And we're told that until he got sick with COVID after ignoring more advice about not shaking hands with people. So he has a brush with death. Because, in part because of his obesity. He wants to change that. Heaven knows what will happen to the country if Boris Johnson ever experiences poverty. I mean, we could have a revolution.
But it does say, they're saying obesity-related illnesses cost the NHS £6 billion a year.
More,
so
nearly
it needs
30
to be
billion
addressed.
in the wider.
Yes, it needs to be addressed, but they need to do something about it. Not saying it would be a good idea if we did something. But surely it's got to be a two-pronged, you know, the government and food manufacturers, and we all have to take personal responsibility.
Absolutely, and they're talking about the same things that they previously knocked down and poo-pooed. So we're just going round in
traffic light systems.
So what's this space?
You still won't get them going to biscuit companies and saying you're not allowed to make that anymore. What they do with fag companies. That's the point.
Let's talk about face masks in schools. Teaching unions urging ministers, Matthew, to consider making face coverings mandatory for children in all secondary schools.
It's a really tricky one here because we were saying just before we came on air that despite the government making masks essentially mandatory at the 11th hour, many people, myself and you, are confused as to why they weren't mandatory in the last, 12, 14, 15 weeks. There's still no definitive proof, is there, that they're designed to stop me infecting you, you to infect me. He says that it's impractical during school terms. Well, from what I can see around me, people are taking the view that masks are generally impractical, full stop.
Yeah, but if I have to wear them in a supermarket, why
but
shouldn't
you don't have to wear them in a supermarket. Supermarkets aren't enforcing the rules. So if supermarkets...
we're being asked to. We are being asked to again. So it's like... The supermarket shouldn't have to enforce it. We should all take that responsibility.
It's being vague and woolly again, and I'm a sort of libertarian, but I do feel that when we look back on time, we will regret not going harder and faster with
Afua, I was in Belfast City Airport last night, and I had the masks I forgot to bring one with me around. I hadn't got one with me, so the security guy said to me, "You can't come in unless you get a mask," and I was expecting him to give me one. Now, I'm telling this against me because I'm in the wrong. I should have had the mask. So, Afua, you're sent to a dispenser machine to buy one. How much is a mask from a dispenser machine?
I would think it would be £1, £2, €1, €3. No,
hilarious. Higher than a pound.
£2.
Higher than two.
5,
5 quid. 5 quid for a mask.
I said he won't forget it again in a hurry.
Absolutely right.
I'd have taken out my pants and done the thing that Alice Beer showed us. Put your pants on.
Talking about enforcing the rules, can we just have a look at this video? This is a video of a row breaking out on a bus where somebody wasn't wearing a mask and other people were very upset about it.
If you're lecturing people about masks, why don't you do it properly? Exactly. If you're the mask police, it's not my job to ask everybody that comes on the bus about wearing a mask.
So there was a woman on there who's not wearing a face covering. People started asking her, a row broke up, and the bus driver had to come back and basically said, look, this is not my job to have to be breaking up rows like this. Just wear your mask.
I'm afraid, without wishing to sort of grind on a bit, I think it all starts with Dominic Cummings using his common sense in the middle of lockdown and breaking the rules and doing his eye test in his car with his kid on board. And from that moment onwards, I know my view certainly changed, that if they're taking such a sort of laissez-faire view to the rules, then maybe we will too. But I feel for people, low levels of responsibility. They're not government ministers, they're bus drivers and such like, and supermarket workers being essentially made to do the job that the government and the police should be doing on our behalf.
Afua, anything to add to that?
Would you say something to anybody, Afua, if they weren't wearing a mask? Would it offend you? Would you be brave enough to say something?
I have been brave enough to say something to people. And I think that, unfortunately, Matthew is absolutely right, that as soon as Dominic Cummings did what he wanted, one rule for him and one rule for everybody else, then you can expect people to do that too. But the thing is, and like we say, the science is not confirmed and it is a bit dodgy still, but if it's about someone else wearing a mask to keep me safe and I wearing a mask to keep someone else safe, I think as a society, we should generally just all take that approach. But unfortunately, it shouldn't be up to bus drivers, people that work in shops, security guards to enforce that upon the general public. But the general public should just do it as courtesy for each other.
OK, thank you very much indeed for that. Really appreciate it. Matthew, out of time. Thank you very much as well.
Take care.
Cheers.